And the Philadelphia Phillies have won the National League pennant.
The 0-2 pitch, swing and a miss, struck him out. The Philadelphia Phillies are 2008 World Champions of Baseball. The 3-0 pitch, swing and long drive. There it is, number 500, the career 500th home run for Michael Jack Smith.
The bases loaded, 1 out. Got deep to right field. Second
Welcome to the Phanlot, brought to you by Old City Sports Network, powered by Outlaw Mile High Light Beer. Welcome to the show, everyone. We're here with Al from... Yeah, no. 3 in the Keystone podcast. This is why we have producers, all right?
You guys are lucky. You guys got the big bucks because you can afford a producer.
I'm sorry, hit me with that again.
I said you guys got the big bucks. You can afford a producer.
But no, we just have someone special behind stage right now. So what's going on, man?
I mean, chilling. I feel like, thanks for having me on. I feel like this has we've been waiting in the wings here a little bit for this collaboration. So just happy to be here.
Yeah, super excited for it. How do you feel about the overall production of this club right now?
This club, meaning the Philadelphia Phillies? I mean,
yes.
Right now, I feel like it's easy to overreact to certain things happening. Like last night happened, Trey Turner lets that ball get through short and we end up losing a game that we should have won multiple times. But as a big picture kind of guy, I feel okay. I feel confident that they're going to make the playoffs at the very least. And then as we saw last year, you get to the dance and anything can happen.
I mean, that's where I'm praying we're going to be at. And at the end of the day, one player doesn't make a whole club. I understand his mistakes cost us one game, but we took a 2-game start in the series and then came to, that dramatic play.
Right. And as things stand right now, we're a game and a half. Am I correct? In the wild card standings, we have a game and a half cushion.
Yeah.
So
after that, we put we added to the cushion.
Right.
So.
Right. And I think we're going to talk about it, but we have a 3-game series coming up with, the Kansas City Royals, who are absolutely dreadful. So if we're the team we're supposed to be, then we should be able to get some more games against them.
Yeah. And I mean, the rest of our season, we play at home a very huge part of it. So, I mean, this club plays good at home. They were playing good away. And then, I mean, I don't know what happened, but, we found ourselves there. But
yeah, there's a little bit of a friendly stretch coming up, right? We have a 3-game series against Kansas City, followed up with Washington and Minnesota, all at home, like you just mentioned. We have a lot of home games, so hopefully some of that home cooking, can keep some of the bats hot and can get some of the bats going.
I hope it gives them a little revisit of last year, because the home games is what did it for us, and the club, I mean, they play amazing at home. So if they can roll forward and knock the way for the next, month and a half, put themselves into the playoffs.
Yeah, it's not a hard schedule, the rest of the way. We luckily only have Atlanta, a 4-game and then a 3-game. Other than that, I mean, we close out with the Mets and Pittsburgh. I mean, that's not too tough.
Closing out with the Mets right now is actually I think this might be the first time as a Phillies fan to say I'm excited for because the club sold itself.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, talk about a complete disaster. And anytime a Phillies fan wants to sit here and say that things are going bad and Trey Turner's not playing well and Nicky Bats is back to being Nicky Whiffs, take a look at the Mets. Take a look at the Padres. I mean, you're talking about two clubs that spent boku bucks for what? For nothing.
Yeah, it's the two clubs that really wanted to compete against us really failed this year. And I mean, besides Trey Turner, which I'm honestly going to tell you in my honest opinion, and before we get deep diving into everything, everyone that's talking about, because this has probably been my favorite morning because it's all these people talking about we got to trade Trey Turner, and I don't think they understand what collective bargaining agreements are because we'll be eating a shit ton of money of a $300 million contract. But beyond that, it's like the guy's not even a full year in, and you want to get rid of probably one of the best shortstops in the MLB right now.
Listen, you people that say they want to trade him, that's absolute idiocy. You can't sit here and say you want to trade a guy who's only played what two-thirds of a season into an 11-year contract, a guy that's proven to be one of the best players in baseball year in and year out. He was having an outlier of a year in his first year playing in Philadelphia. And, this is something I like to talk about is we often forget about the human element that comes along with being a professional athlete. Having a guy pack up, move across the country, play in a city that's as diehard as Philadelphia is, that's on your back every at bat, every pitch. It takes some time for some of these guys, I think, to get used to. And I think Trey's feeling a little bit of that right now.
He has to be, because I can only imagine if I found the current job I have, if I got offered 3 times the salary at another place, the other side of the world, besides the time change, but the amount of money, and I'm like, I have to live up to that.
Yeah.
And then you bring in the Philadelphia crowd cheering behind you, which we're going to cheer for you and against you at the same time. What side are you going to be on? That's going to beat up on you.
Right. It's pressure that he's never felt before. Now, granted, he's played in the World Series and he's won a World Series, but that's pressure in a vacuum. That's pressure in a bubble. That's not pressure over the course of an entire season. Again, where every single mistake you make is under the lens. It's you're feeling it 10 times more because it's that much more important to this city as opposed to a Washington D.C. or even as opposed to a Los Angeles.
It's not as deep.
Yeah. Look, I think he's going to turn it around. I don't know if this year, but I think he's going to turn it around.
He's totally going to. And we got, another 9 years to judge on. But we got Tommy J. McGuire in the comments. What's up, fellas? How you doing, man?
Tommy.
But I totally I see it as a complete future for this club with, Turner. But anybody that's dunking on him is they're looking for kind of like that, like whole arouse, like, oh, I'm going to make this comment, everybody's going to love it, rather than the fact that Trey Turner is probably one of the best that there is.
Yeah. I mean, listen, point me to a fan that wants to trade Trey Turner, as early in the contract as now, and I'll point you to a fan that probably wanted to trade Ryan Howard. You know what I mean?
Oh, God.
It's the same brand of fan, the overreactionary, and as you just said, kind of like the hot take just to have a hot take kind of guy.
Mm-hmm. All right, so let's roll into the dugout, and we can start talking about the players.
All right, the dugout is brought to you by Righteous Felon. Go to www.righteousfelon.com. Use promo code OCSN for 15% off the best beef jerky around. And remember, Any orders over $50 gets you free shipping. www.righteousfelon.com.
That sounds like a way better voice than I would have been able to give. All right. So in the dugout, we pick out our player of the series. So batting wise and player wise, who was your player of the series for the Miami Marlins series?
For the Miami Marlins series, I got to go with probably Bohm. Alec Bohm's been raking, and
Dude,
he's been doing it in clutch spots. You know, this team year after year has a problem with getting hits with runners in scoring position, but Alec Boehm seems to be immune to that. What did he have? I think he had 7 hits in the series overall, 2 doubles, 4 RBIs. He's been our most clutch player this season. They finally have him up in the lineup. So if I'm taking one guy from that series to take as my batter of the series, it's going to be Boehm.
I think he's going to be breaking the record this year with RBIs because he is driving runs in. And besides the other 2 guys that constantly get taken out of this lineup, which is Stott and Marsh, I mean, I agree with you. Boom is that dude. He deserves player of the series. He has been holding it down. I know he was a little silent, I think, today, but in the long run, that kid is just that little bit of muscle he put on, and the fact that he stopped trying to drive the ball to home run status and put it in play, that small ball is exactly what this club needed.
Yeah. Yeah. The swing looks better. It doesn't look like he's trying to pull everything. Like you mentioned, with last year, a lot of his swings and misses, you could tell he was trying to pull the ball no matter where it was in the strike zone or out of the strike zone.
And he kept finding himself in the warning track, and it was literally, I'm like, if this dude had a little bit more oomph in his swing, it would be home runs last year. But he dialed back, and he's doing what needs to get done, where he's putting it into play, and it's turning out to where this kid is just killing it right now with his drives.
Yeah, and I got to be honest, I haven't really been a Bohm fan. Can I tell you, I haven't really been able to let go of last year. I effing hate this place. Like that's been in the back of my mind ever since he said it. But lately, he's making it a little bit easier for me to kind of finally turn the page on that and say, all right, I can like this kid.
I'm waiting on Trey Turner to be the one to say it.
Yeah, you know what? You're right about that. I'm surprised he has, and good for him that he has.
I honestly, I think if he just says it, has his post game interview, apologizes, he could probably turn his fucking whole season around and be the player he needs to be.
Yeah, I hope so. I mean, look, the kid has to have a little bit of grit in him, right? He's boys with Bryce, and we know what Bryce is about.
Mm-hmm. A couple other little honorable mentions I wanted to put in. It was very nice to see JT hit a home run in this series and make contact, especially with the little lingering injury he has. Really upset with Schwarber.
Yeah.
He was last year, at least 1 out of every 6 at bats, contact home run, contact double, contact something, and it's this year. I mean, he went through the last couple 0 for 5, 0 for 4, got taken out, replaced by the guy that we just traded for. It's something needs to go on there.
Yeah, I've started calling him second coming of Feast of Famine, Russell Branyan. I mean, he just, it seems to be strikeout or excuse me, home run or nothing at this point. I mean, he gives you absolutely nothing if he's not hitting it out of the arc. And when he is hitting just a single, he's clogging up the bases.
Yeah. I
agree with what you said, JT. And what I like about JT's home run today was it was opposite field. The swing looked effortless. And it's coming off the heels of that stupid injury where he's sliding in the second with his hand that doesn't have the mitt on it. And he rips that huge blister in the palm of his throwing hand. So, to see him make that swing and maybe, honestly, maybe he's feeling some of the effects of that blister. And it's maybe he's not gripping the bat so tight. Maybe he's not pressing so hard. I don't know. I'm not a major league ball player, but to see him rip a home run to opposite field was very nice today.
You're seeing him kind of in his after the home run, his next at bat, he had to take a little time out to kind of take the pain away from that little bit of a lingering injury he had from it, which kind of hard to talk about because it's a little blister injury, and I think he can.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure look, this is a world-class training staff. They're icing that thing down. That thing's got to be numb. You know what I mean? For that, whatever it is, 3 hours that they're playing ball. But so good for him, though. Good for him. Hopefully, this is the start of a turnaround for him for the rest of the series, for the rest of the season. Excuse me.
Hopefully it is. We got Brandon Pauls in the comment. What's up, guys? What is up, Brandon? How you doing, brother?
B. Pauls.
Good guy. Always in there. Definitely supporting the network. But let's roll into Pitcher's Poison.
Pitcher's Poison is brought to you by Diet Smoke. Get the best Delta 8 gummies. Use OCSN for 15% off your first order at dietsmoke.com. Remember, that does not include vapes. I repeat, that does not include vapes. Dietsmoke.com.
So, how did you feel overall with the starting pitching compared to the bullpen?
Oh, I mean, it's night and day, right? The starting pitching went out. Every guy on the team did their job. Taijuan Walker gets the 12 wins. Rangers just been steady Eddie all season long. Same thing from him. Zach Wheeler was having an immaculate outing until those back-to-back home runs that he gave up. And then today we get Michael Lorenzen in his first start in the Phillies uniform. And he goes out there and he gives us exactly what we needed after that disaster last night. He gives us 8 strong innings and a win. I mean, the starting pitching, absolutely phenomenal.
Dude, today I think would probably be top my favorite game in the series. Seeing him come out and go farther and lock up 8 innings because he was averaging 5 to 6 back in Detroit. He only let up a couple runs, and that was phenomenal because this is something the club needed going forward.
Yeah, absolutely. And especially on the heels of a what some probably considered a disappointing trade deadline coming and going, where we don't make any big splashes. There were some bigger names out there that the Phillies were tied to. We end up with Lorenzen, who's a very solid pitcher. And for me, the irony of this is that a month ago we're sitting here with 4 starting pitchers, and now we have 6. And I don't really know who the low man on this totem pole is. I feel like we almost have a 1, and then like a whole bunch of like 3 and 4 guys right now. You know what I mean? None of these guys is a 5 in the rotation. None of these guys is a 6. But with the way Noel's been pitching, none of the guys is a 2 either.
So I've been hating on Nola all season. He's been killing me. Wheeler, he's been good. It's just when it comes to the other side of it, he has a very dominant game, and then he's just very bad the next. And he hasn't been as of late, but for the majority of the season, he has. Ranger had a very good June, came in July. I'm pretty sure some kind of injury had to happen because he lost complete command. But I mean, you can't hate on Walker. Walker has been doing everything he's supposed to since he came in. Besides his first like 3 or 4 games, the guy's been killing it.
Yeah, I wonder what his run support has been. Obviously, I don't know that off the top of my head. But he had a fantastic June, if I recall correctly, where it seemed like he was throwing shutout baseball or 1-run baseball almost every night that he was on the mound.
He went through June. I think he only allowed like 5 or 6 runs in the entire month, pretty much.
Yeah.
And for a starting pitcher, that's something you got to ask for. There is no decisions on pretty much majority of our starting pitching. Our bullpen saved us in the month of June a lot and held it down because they were averaging like a 1.18 ERA. But I mean, to have a bullpen like that compared to last year where our bullpen was allowing 5-6 runs, it
Yeah, that was a
good
nightmare.
point to have.
Yeah, that was a nightmare last year. And it's
Yeah.
and we're starting to get back to health.
Yeah.
We've had the injury bug bite us, and hopefully maybe it's one of those instances where it got us early and now we're able to move on from it. Getting back Alvarado, getting back Dominguez, seeing Sir Anthony today have a pretty uneventful ninth inning, other than a leadoff walk, I believe, in the ninth.
Yeah.
So that was nice to see too.
So the thing with Sir Anthony is I'm not holding anything against him until his like fourth or fifth start because he's coming back from injury. His last game, first time up. Now he's here. Second game, he improved, and I see him improving going forward. And I'm not worried about that at all. I think he's going to get back to that form we had where he was pretty much going, oh, we're putting people night going forward.
I mean, I hope you're right. I hope so too, because between him, a healthy Jose Alvarado, and Craig Kimbrell, boy, it's almost like when we had that bridge to Lidge in 08. I mean, you got three guys that are going to get you 9 outs when you need them.
Yeah, and then if you look at the other side of it, where you're going through, 7-game series, 5-game series, or you start off in the wild card, these guys are going to come in, and we're going to drop down the 4.
Right.
You're not going to have, pretty much right now what we have is 6-guy rotation. So you're going to have, Walker, Wheeler, Nola, Ranger, and then that gives you the ability to have long distance pitchers with, the other guys we have, and you don't have to really worry because even if shit starts going south, you can come back and be like, hey, guess what? We got this fucking guy coming in, and he can handle it for multiple innings for us.
Right. Crunch time, we're not going to see a Dylan Covey. We're not going to see probably a Gregory Soto. Jeff Hoffman's been pitching pretty well, but you're probably going to see him very limited innings.
I've been a huge fan, and you know what? Actually, to speak of that, I was very upset that Velasquez got, gone because I would have most likely sent Marte or Covey over him.
Yeah, Marte hasn't done much. I'm not a fan of his. So, but again, I think you're talking about guys that come, September, we're not going to be saying these names, hopefully.
I hope not, because if we're in a playoff game and I see Marte come in and do what he's been doing, where he's allowing, multiple runs, and I'll give him benefit of doubt. He comes in those scenarios where either you got a guy on first or second, or at least somebody in scoring position, but he lets it up.
Yeah.
And the problem I have is when I look at his face, when the camera pans to him, it looks like he does not give a shit.
Yeah, totally just blank out there.
Yeah. Like there's a difference between I'll get the next guy when you walk someone and what he does where it just pans to him and he's like, oh, I'll let it run up.
Mm-hmm.
My bad.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the games where he comes in, we're under 500 in those games where he comes in. So it tells you everything you need to know about him. He's either giving it up or he's coming into a game that's already lost.
Yeah.
So he's an innings eater. Let me ask you, though, can I ask you this question? What do you think about the tipping pitches last night with Kimbrell in extra innings?
I think he is a 9th inning pitcher. And when you bring him in post that, it's not his realm. Because he did not, I was watching him just pepper the outside of the entire strike zone in not a good spot. And I think he knows he's a closer, but he's not a extender.
Right.
You get what I'm trying to say.
Right. Well, hopefully then does that concern you at all, knowing Thompson's his what we saw last year in the playoffs, where it seemed like there was no role, there was no defined role for anyone in the bullpen. Do you worry at all that maybe he'll get cute, in a wild card game or in a series where all of a sudden Kimbrel gets thrown in the 8th?
Well, see, like we've seen him come in them innings, and I think he's like 50-50 there.
Mm-hmm.
But I think Rob knows that he's like a 9th inning pitcher. He's that guy that comes in and ends the game. But I feel like he also knows that he can rely on him. It's just in high stress situations, he just doesn't make it happen.
Right.
Like Rob knows he can rely on him, but when he's not in his realm, Kimbrel does kind of stray a little bit away. But Rob also has a weird analytic system going right now to where he just does not compute to where traditional baseball is compared to this whole, this guy's good in this part of the inning compared to now, and he doesn't put them in or take them out, and that's the big problem.
I'd love to have a glimpse inside of the mind of Rob Thompson to see, exactly what it is he's thinking, because I agree with you there. But I sometimes he makes decisions. I mean, everybody's had their issues with the lineup at this point in the season. But he makes decisions that just leave you scratching your head, and you're just wondering to yourself, what was the background knowledge that was provided to him to make this decision, or where was he coming from with
Yeah.
A great example coming out of the All-Star break, pitching Christopher Sanchez in that first game. I just what's the thought process there where you're pitching your 5th best starter? I understand maybe wanting to get your 2 quote unquote aces, maybe some extra rest, but why not throw a Taijuan Walker out there to start that series? Why not throw a Ranger Suarez out there?
Yeah. I mean, Ranger's my boy. I love that dude. Ranger's going to range, but I do agree with you.
Yeah, Rangers really found himself a nice little spot in the hearts of this city right now. I kind of liken him almost to like a Chooch in 08, where he's just a lovable dude. He's tough as nails. He gets the job done. He's not flashy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm a big fan.
Mm-hmm. I've been probably the biggest fan of Rangers since he's come in, and seeing him grow, and I feel like I kind of have a little connection because I can see when he's injured, and I know it because you can see the way that he throws and the way that he looks at his hand after, and it's like something's off.
Something's wrong. I gotta look a little closer next time he's on the bump, because I haven't noticed that, but I'll take a look.
You'll see him look at his hand, and it's just kind of like one of them, like, what the fuck, man? I'm trying.
Yeah. And you wonder, and I hate to bring it up. I'm bringing it up. You wonder if the pitch clock has, what I mean, it's a little bit too, because you're throwing the ball a little bit faster than you're used to. I don't know.
Yeah. All right, so let's roll into the batter up.
Pitch tonight. Fastball. It's a breaking ball. That's how you make a statement when you've been struggling. That's pitch tonight.
Batter Up is brought to you by Hangman Brewing. Go to www.hangmanbrewing.com and check out Delaware's hottest brewery.
So, overall, I mean, we got top of the order, Schwarber, silent, but Harper had some hits. We had a home run from JT. We had, the daycare kind of saving our asses pretty much for the most part. How do you feel about the batting order? Anything you want to change? Anything you want to move up, down, left, right, slingshot into the sun?
Yeah, what don't I want to change? I mean, the thing that I've been getting on all season long, and I know it's really only primarily been since June, though, but it's you have to drop Schwarber in this lineup. I mean, I've looked at his numbers from the different places that he's batted. When he bats 5th, he really doesn't. He's okay. He's fine. Like he bats actually over 200, which for him is like Ruthian numbers. So you drop him 5th. I'd love to see Stott in the leadoff, 1 or 2. I'd love to see Stott and Bohm 1-2. Back to back. There are 2 most consistent hitters at this point in the season. They've proven it. I'd love to see Rob stick with Stott no matter who was on the bump, because he seems to still be platooning him whenever there's a lefty starter. I do like Harper despite the little bit of a power outage this season. I do still like him in that 3 spot. And then I'm okay with, again, Schwarber, Castellanos in that 4 or 5, somewhere around there. Turner's got to be batting 8th or 9th at this point in the season. I mean, he showed his hand. What's he doing for you? He's an out waiting to happen, or even worse, he's a double play waiting to happen. So he's got to be batting 8th or 9th to me. Marsh and JT 6, 7 is fine, but my biggest change would again be at the top of the order with Stott and Boom.
I see. In my eyes, I would have definitely Stott, because he exposes the pitcher. He gives you at least 10. You get 10 pitches out of that kid in his first at bat, and you see what the guys that pitcher's going to do. And the first 15 pitches are literally like pretty much kind of coordinated, and you can judge that guy off it. This is how he's going to attack you, and Stott exposes it. I agree with Boom. I would like to see him in 2 spot. I would like to see Cassie in the 3. Harper, as much as everybody wants to say he's a 3 batter, I think he is very good in the 4 spot. And this is what I'm going to tell you right now. Turner is a 5 hitter. He did very good, and Rob should have never taken him out of it. He put him in the 5 spot earlier in the season. He did great. And then he was like, oh, he's good. Back to the 2 spot. And I really think that if he stayed in the 5, he would have had a better season.
Do you think he pressed more when he was higher up in the lineup? You think he put a little more pressure on himself to get on base?
I think it's the overall lineup. I mean, you're coming into a club where you got JT Realmuto, you got Bryce Harper, Schwarber, Castellanos, all these guys that were in the World Series last year. The amount of pressure that kid probably feels right now, especially with the contract. That's why I think I might be light on him, is because I think that, honestly, if we would have got Trey Turner and we got knocked out by St. Louis, I think Trey would have had a better year this year, to tell you the dead honest truth, because that pressure wouldn't be on him. But we were a World Series club. We were the NL champs, and this club did extremely fucking great last year when it came to crunch time. And that'll be another breath where I'll say, I think Trey, when crunch time happens, all these Trey haters are going to turn around just like Reese Hoskins last year, and they're going to go, oh, look at Trey going, I mean, I don't know if we're going to have a bat spike moment, but I think we're going to have a Trey Turner single that's going to turn into him stealing second, him stealing third, and then it's going to drive him home to where they're going to be like, oh, this is why we signed Trey Turner.
And there's not a better ending, and it's not an ending, but there's not a better next chapter to this story than that happening, because we know this fan base. We know how quickly things will turn for him as far as the fans being right back supporting him 100% if that happens, especially like you're saying in a big spot, which I could see happening. I still have that shred, that like 1% faith in him that for some reason I lost in Nick Castellanos last season. So I'm with you there. And you know what? Maybe moving into a 5 spot where he's a little more comfortable is the right move. But you got to do something to get this kid feeling a little more comfortable in the lineup.
Well, if you look at his batting, he does very good when he has at least 2 runners on. He does very good in a 3-2 count. And he does very good with 2 outs, driving runs in. He just has to get back to being comfortable.
He batted very well. I mean, it's a short 7 games, but he batted very well in the cleanup spot this season. He almost hit 300 from the cleanup spot. So that goes, to show a little bit of what you're saying, because maybe there was a few instances there in those 7 games where a couple of guys were able to get on ahead of him, loosen him up a little bit. So maybe you got something. I don't know. Maybe you found something there.
I think that, maybe 5, 6 spot in the order is a good spot for him. But I mean, it's just like, players like Trey does really good in 3, 4 spot. He's good when people are on.
Right.
But then, I mean, you have the flip side to where when he's by himself, he's productive. But that's what we need from Trey. We need Trey to be alone getting on base. Because even when we put him in the 5 spot, like, Schwarber is a walk machine. So Schwarber gets walked, and then we get 3 outs. Now we're at Trey Turner. He needs to learn, hey, I need to get on for them. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's a different mentality. You got to be able to flip that switch.
Yep.
Absolutely.
So
Did you see last night? He was in the batting cages until midnight last night.
he should be at the batting cage until 5 in the morning learning because I don't know. It's like so today I had to listen to the game and they were talking about how JT actually goes and watches either like right now the guy that came in, he watched all of his past couple games on their trip because he knew he's going to be pitching to him. That's what this club needs to do. They need to learn the video aspect of this club or of the game and watch all these guys that they're going against.
Well, I'll tell you this. I don't know if we'll get there in another segment coming up here, but Trey Turner hits Jordan Lyles very well historically, which is going to be the first guy that we see for the Kansas City Royals. He's 5 for 10 against him with a double, a home run, and 4 RBIs. So if there's a guy that potentially can get him back on track, I think this is the one coming up here.
Well, hopefully.
Yeah.
I mean, there's been a couple pitchers he's gone up against where he has the advantage to where he does have that, batting average against him, and he has not done good as of late, but
well, yeah, I mean, he's not the same player this year, right?
Yeah.
He's got the name on the back, but he's not the same guy up here. So we'll see.
So, I mean, we can probably drop into like some final thoughts and roll out of here.
Phillies News is brought to you by Outlaw Beer. Go to www.tivolibrewco.com and place your order today. Tivoli delivers to the continental United States. Throw that in there for you there, bro.
I mean, besides the players that we DFA'd and got rid of, the Harrison gone, I mean, there's no real big Philly news right now.
No, right. Bringing in Lorenzen, which, after one game looks to be like a pretty decent move. If you're to judge a trade after one game.
I think him going 8 today was a huge show of like force from him. And I honestly, I enjoyed that.
Yeah. And a comfy 8, a never really in trouble 8.
Yeah. I think he had like a brief little like scare. I think it was in the 6th where he kind of like loaded the bases and then he got out of it without a problem. And I think that was the biggest part of it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, look, like we said, we've already said it, but to go from a rotation with 4 guys to 6 guys, we have options now.
Yeah.
So,
and you give Wheeler and Nola, I mean, Wheeler enjoys an extra day off, and Nola, I think he just enjoys not pitching. To be honest.
Yeah, we'll see what happens with him, man. It's going to be an interesting offseason with Aaron Nola.
I would honestly let him go.
I would too. I mean, he showed his hand. He got greedy, and he's paying the price for it. Look, we still have some time here this season, but I'm not rooting against the guy. But I've never been a huge fan of his.
But how are you gonna go? I'm gonna show you my worth. and then imagine if you did that to your girl. Like,
Right.
yo, baby girl, I'm gonna show you my worth, and then you go and just be a complete piece of shit like he has done.
Yeah.
I'm only gonna show up half of the time.
Yeah.
Like,
Go on.
She's gonna break up with you. She's gone. Bye bye.
Some extended work trips.
Yeah.
Here and there, coming in late at night.
Oh, I gotta go to Arizona next weekend.
Yeah. Why do you got your golf clubs? I don't worry about it. Yeah, no, I hear you. But look, it's his own doing. And he kind of planted the seeds in spring training when he was bitching about the pitch clock already before the season had begun. So it's almost like he was building in that excuse for himself. But something that, look, he's just too inconsistent for my liking. He's not a true ace. And when he's at his worst, he's not even a 2.
Yeah, and then it's like you have a guy like him that's like, oh, we have September NOLA. Like, dude, it's August right now. We're not even in September.
Yeah.
The worst part of his season is not here yet.
Right. Yeah, we need August, NOLA. We need you to play all year long, bud.
Yeah. So, yeah. I mean, it's going to be an exciting couple months coming forward.
Look, after the last, I mean, what was it? It's 2023. So what was it before last season? 10 years? After a decade of just watching garbage baseball, it's nice to have this back. We're in the mix.
Yeah. It's 11 years and no playoffs. We had it last year. I mean, we're in the wild card spot this year.
Yeah, so it's good to be a Philly fan right now for most of the teams in the city.
Multiple reasons. Maybe we can add another one that
sitting right here. I'm sitting right here. Knock it off.
He turned the mic off.
Sitting right here.
But yeah, I think what's your final thoughts on this?
Is it me?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. They're talking to your guy over there. Final thoughts. Look, we talked about it. We have a little bit of a fluff in the schedule coming up where we got some home cooking. I feel like this is the time when we can get the bats turned around. A series against the Royals, against a few guys that, some of our slumping guys hit well. JT hits well against these guys. Turner hits well against these guys. I think this is a great time for them to kind of get these bats going again. And look, we're in the driver's seat. We're in the playoffs right now as it stands today. So let's hold on to that. And we know that if we can just make it to September, anything can happen. We can see another magical run in this city.
Hey, Al, yeah, also, we want to give you a little chance to plug your guys' podcast as well. So if you want to tell people where you could listen to that, where are your socials and all that, that'd be great as well.
Oh, cool. I appreciate that. So I'm a part of the 3 in the Keystone podcast, myself and a couple of my buddies from high school. We do a weekly show. We can be found on social and Instagram at 3K_podcast. It's the number 3. And then on Twitter at 3K podcast. So no underscore there. And yeah, if you just give us, a search 3 in the Keystone, you'll find us. It's a weekly show. And, we talk sports, local, national. And then we go a little bit outside of the box as well. We do some fun drafts, trivia, that kind of stuff. So looking forward to possibly, having Jesse on some point. Having some of your crew on, do some collabs in the future.
Jesse loves talking, so you're good there.
Who doesn't, right? Look, this is what I really want to know. You guys have some great sponsors, a lot of beers, some beef jerky. Do I get a sample of any of this stuff?
We'll talk.
All right.
We'll talk.
All right, so I guess I'll drop some final thoughts. I think in this next little spout of the rest of the season, I think that JT, I think Harper and Turner all show up. I think Schwarber's struggling very, very bad to see the ball compared to what he was last year. But I hope he turns it around when October happens. But I think this club finds itself in the same spot it was, and I think we can, and we have enough push to, with the pitching, win the World Series. So I'll be excited to see this club going forward.
Yeah. And with that being said, Everybody remember the Fan Lot is brought to you by Old City Sports Network. Be sure to follow us on Facebook at Phanlot Phillies, OldCitySportsNetwork.com, Old spelled OLDE, on Twitter at the Phanlot, Vince at Phanlot_Decar, and Old City Sports at Old_Sports, Old spelled OLDE. Al, thanks for coming on, and we will be in contact with you shortly.
Sounds good. Thanks for having me, guys. It was fun.
Good time, man.
And that was the Fan Lot.